Hello, everyone. Whether it's morning, evening, or afternoon, welcome to another episode of Authentic Conversations with Adele. I'm your host for this podcast, and we're in season 3. How exciting! So, a little bit about myself, Adele, and Transition Clarity, and what we do is we hold sacred circles for men so they can come and share their hearts and realign to who they truly are, their authentic self, the reason they have a body on this earth, and to share their gifts to the world like no one else can. In the show notes, there'll be ways to contact me and learn more about our coffee chats. They're quick 30 minutes where you men can come and share their concerns, their questions, just to feel comfortable in a safe space and also learn more about what we have to offer. We also have one on one sessions, and we also have an 8-week course looking at the archetypes that are helping, hindering in your life. And those archetypes are learned conditions, belief systems, and untruths that you've been told that no longer suit you, no longer belong to you, and truly becoming your authentic self. So if you want more information on that, once again, there'll be a way to get a hold of me in the show notes. On this session, my guest will be Jon Sheldon. He is a leadership growth and small unit coach who helps high performers lead with authentic operate in alignment and grow with purpose. I believe he's in alignment with this show, and I'm happy to have him on the show. His also has a special offer, the Blueprints Battle Plan Framework, a way of coaching yourself through decisions. That's going to be interesting to find out more about that. So, welcome to the show, Jon. It's a pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here, Del.
Okay. So, tell us how you became the coach for the business owner, the small unit. Explain all that. Explain your journey to who you are today, basically. Please.
Okay. You want me to start from the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good. So I grew up in a little town in upstate New York.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there is a casino stop now, but before when I grew up there, it was just a cornfield. Uh, and like many small town guys, there was a couple options that you had out of high school. I did get accepted to college, but as I enlisted in the Marines, I came to find out that most of the Marine Corps is small town America, and uh, and so that seemed pretty normal and natural for me. But that's what I did when I was 17. Graduated and went pretty much directly into the Marines infantry, early 2000s, so 2005 to 2009. I was an infantry, worked up to be an infantry squad leader, did a couple deployments to Iraq, and that's really where my leadership journey began. I progressed pretty quickly in the Marines, then um, and then really got out and didn't skip a beat. Went directly into college, landed an internship in my second year of college in finance. Did 7 years as a partner in a financial planning firm, and then got sniped by another company to be a regional director of another one. And so I did that for another 8. Throughout that time, I was doing mentoring and coaching for the firms that I was working in, but on the side, like, hey, we'd like you to do this, and okay, cool. Like that's not really part of my job description type of stuff, but ended up working it out. And then I was actually working with a coach, and she really encouraged me in late 2020 uh, to start like a coaching brand. And so what I ended up doing was I called a bunch of the mentees that I had in the past
Mm-hmm.
and simply just said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this legit as a business. Is this something that you'd pay for?" And I called five, and I'm very grateful that all five of them said, "Yeah, would love to re-engage with you on a official basis." And started that way, and then realistically came to a point where it was a side, kind of on the side. The company in finance, you have to. There's things called OBAs, so everybody
Mm-hmm.
has to know what outside business activities you got going on.
Yeah.
Um, so they knew about it, and at one point in time, my CFO was talking to me about some developmental issues that they were having within the firm, and she really wanted my opinion because I had one of the advisors I was coaching had made tremendous amount of success in about 18 months and
Mm-hmm.
said, really want your opinion on this stuff. So I took it a step further and said, well, why don't I come and give a presentation of what I would do? And so ended up that conversation quickly turned into Jon's going to be our um, consultant for coaching and development. And I stepped away from the firm and still have a very strong relationship with them, but now as an outside consultant on their stuff. And that's kind of where we are today. I've been in that solo field now for about a year. I don't just coach financial advisors. I coach, like you mentioned, pretty much small unit leaders, as I call them. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll define that real quick, Adele, because I think people
Yes,
think of
please.
that sometimes as small business. That's
Yeah.
not what I mean at all. Um, so what I mean by small unit is I specifically work with leaders that are still in the trenches with the guys and girls and ladies and men. That's who I specifically like to work with. So the people that are still out making sales, that are still checking in on their roofers or carpenters or real estate agents, like the people that are still leading and practicing at the same time. That's kind of what I specialize in. So when I say small unit, that's what I mean. I generally don't work with just the CEOs of a business that have stepped away from the day-to-day activities.
Mm-hmm.
I I work with the people that are still running their teams, building their teams, and actively practicing in their teams as well.
Well, and that I thank you for that definition because that is where your Marine Corps training came,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yep.
Because
Yeah.
that's a term that the services use that the outside world are like, what are they talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I've come to realize that too. Yeah. I
Yeah.
started using that word and they're like, what does that mean?
But it
I should
makes
probably
sense
define that.
though, because
Yeah.
like when you think about it from the services point of view, you're only as good as the weakest link in the unit.
Correct. Yep.
Right? So if your electrician's the weakest link and your roofer's going, well the electrician and it's like, stop, we're a team,
Yeah.
we're a unit. How
Yes.
do we move forward together? And then even though you're working with the CEO or and the owners, like they realize that if they're not leading the unit, their
Mm-hmm.
guys aren't going to stay because those guys are in
Yep.
high demand,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. And I think that's a really interesting stat that I ran into last year too, is when you really look at top level performers, compensation is number 4 out of 5 of their priorities when they join a team. Number one is direction, leadership, right?
Well,
They want to
and
be,
fit.
and that's what I was just going to say next is they want to be around other A performers,
Yeah,
like leveled up performers, like
because
truly highly impactful.
yeah,
Yep.
there's no use being like a type A personality if you're surrounding yourself with people waiting for you to do it all.
Yeah, and it ends up being very frustrating for that team member for sure,
Mm-hmm.
where they feel like they're putting in a lot more effort, and it just adds to discontent.
Mm-hmm.
Like A level people want to be around other A level people, and it's
Mm-hmm.
almost immediate when it happens in the wrong environment. And it's like, well, we're going to lose this person. Why do we lose this person? I worked with a company that kept losing people. It's like, it's not. because you had the wrong person. It's the culture and the community that you've created of mediocrity that you can't attract and keep high level talent,
Yeah.
because unless you're going to give them a piece of the pie, they're not going to sit around and be like, I'll change your organization for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And like money can help, but it's got to be
Yeah.
very significant in a short
Yeah.
span. Like that's
Yeah.
when they come in and say 3 to 6 months, I'll get you turned around, then I'm out. And that's a whole
Yeah.
different ball game too, right? And
Totally different ballgame. Agreed.
that's where you're starting to find out too, with now being on your own, that you're playing in the water. Like, it's not really my job, but if I can get right. And now the water says, no, no, we're kicking you out because this is what you're supposed to do. And kudos for you to notice that open door.
Yeah, that was, I mean, I'll be honest. I had thought about it for a while. Really, what was my path? I really enjoyed the coaching. Um, and I'll be honest. I mean, I was proud of myself that in the moment, and I'll give a lot of credit to the CFO that I was talking to as well. That could have been a very weird conversation, and it turned into a great one. And I think that shows their level of openness to wanting to change their organization.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I mean, I was a director of sales. Like, it wasn't like I was this other person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they knew that if we went down this path, then I wouldn't be in that role anymore. And so I give them a lot of credit too, because it takes a lot to say, hey, one of our people has a different skill set that we're not paying them for right now, but we see value in, and we understand that they're not going to be part of our organization in that realm. Now, honestly, I function, I wouldn't call it like a fractional, but I'm very involved with their business still to this day,
Well, I know, but maybe they
by in
also,
the form of coaching.
and maybe they saw that you as a coach, they could keep you, but as a sales director, you're moving on.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, true, true.
Right? Because you're
Yeah,
like, there's only so much you can do as a sales director with a team that's dysfunctional,
yeah, right. Yeah,
right?
maybe for sure. Yeah, absolutely,
So yeah,
absolutely.
and that's yeah, it's kudos for them recognizing it, right? Like, do we
Yeah,
lose him altogether, or do we put him where he's actually supposed to be?
yeah, yeah,
And big kudos to you for seeing that. Yeah, that's where I actually will thrive the most,
yeah.
right? And I
Yep.
think that's the biggest thing right now with the world changing so fast, that are we missing the open doors,
Mm.
right? Like, so here's your old
Yeah,
boss saying, I don't know, I'm gonna throw this idea out, and you go, no, I think I'll stay as a sales director, and they're
right.
like, that's not your fit. Like, we're
Yeah,
gonna,
yeah. I mean,
right?
yeah, right. That conversation could have gone in a bunch of different ways, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Generally speaking, it was a lot of, yeah. Here's some things that I would think about doing and stuff like that. Instead of, hey, why don't I come in and give you a massive, essentially consultative presentation on what I would do if I were you guys.
Hmm. So, did you feel like the pandemic helped you go into this way of coaching, or you were always that kid that eventually this is who you're going to be?
I think looking back, that's a great question. I think looking back at it, this was always who I was. Um, it actually, I posted something. I post these videos on social medias, and one of this a friend of mine from high school who I haven't talked to in, now it's crazy, 20 years, maybe 25. No, this year's 20 years. I don't think I've actually seen him or talked to him since. And I shared this video, and he commented this really long paragraph of something that happened on a sports team, and basically, like, I stayed back with him even though I was like number 3 on the team, was running, and basically, like, kept him in the game, basically kept him in the practice until the very end. And that has stuck with him for 20 years. And I until he brought it up, I haven't thought of it probably past that day.
Yeah.
But it's those little things that I think of throughout my life, that is how I show up for people, if I'm being honest with you. And that's why in my friend group, I am the person that people talk to when they have an issue. I've always been that way. This isn't something that's been recent or since I started coaching. It's my sisters, my father, right? Even now today, my father will ask me for advice on stuff, which is always obviously very humbling, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but I've always been that friend where, hey, I'm looking for a new job, John. I need that blunt 30,000 foot advice because I know you're just going to tell me the truth because I truly believe that the truth is what matters. You know, it,
Absolutely.
it it might sting and it might hurt to say you need to walk away,
Mhm.
but it's what you need to hear.
Mhm.
You know, and so I think I've always been that person. I think the pandemic, if anything, I'm a busy person, and so being stuck in my house for that long was really challenging for me. And so it forced me, I would do my work very quickly throughout the day, and it gave me time to think of like, well, what do I really want in life? Where
Yeah.
generally speaking, I was in a traveling role. I managed all of upstate New York, so I'm in Binghamton or Syracuse or Oswego or Buffalo or Jamestown or Erie, Pennsylvania. Like I was driving all over the place, meeting with these different, sales organizations, and
And then
so
you're at home
and then I'm at home doing
and you're
virtual
like,
meetings that used to take me an hour, now it took me 24 minutes,
yeah.
And so it's like I remember this. This is funny. I remember the first April when the world really shut down. I think it was April 2020, right?
Mhm.
I kept 105 meetings that month. Um, yeah, yeah, just because I was like, wow, I just need to keep being busy, and that's just remarkably unsustainable, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when that slowed down, obviously the very next month that slowed down, it was like, oh, what do I do with all my time? And so I think that is what, if anything, the pandemic helped me do was gave me more time to think about what I really wanted to do in my life and where I was feeling unfulfilled for sure.
So, and that's interesting you say that because that's what I'm finding in with the men that I'm working with is that um they thought everything was peachy keen, going along fine, and then they're like, I don't like my job,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
or they're saying it's like I have a good life, but I want a fantastic life,
yeah,
right? And it's
yep.
like it kind of took a bit of wind out of their sail when it kind of all slowed down and they had that time to think. And I like how you brought that up because we get so busy in
Hmm.
the day to day things that we forget that we're human beings, not human doings,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And
yeah.
what the human being is here to do and to bring through their gifts might not have anything to do with the doings,
Very true.
right? And like you
Yep.
said, like you're that person that people feel they can call because you'll answer the phone and support them.
Hmm.
Not very many people, especially men, have that.
I 100% agree. It's a topic that men's health is a topic I love to talk about because
Hmm.
I'm very, very passionate about it. And what I find, if we want to dive into this even a little bit,
Absolutely.
what I find that a lot of guys do is, and this has nothing to do with the pandemic, but we can come back to that.
Yeah.
What I find that they do is how many times do I talk to a guy and when I say these words, they say at least 10 times a day. I'll figure it out. I'll take care of it. Right. And every time they say that, this is the visualization that I have. I think about that you're on a hike and you have a backpack.
Hmm.
Every time you say that, you're picking up a rock
Hmm.
and you're putting it in your back. And then you say it again and you're picking up another rock and you're putting it in your pack. And by the time you realize your pack's too heavy, it's too late.
Yeah. You've rolled backwards down the hill.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And then you
And
go, how did
unfortunately,
I end
that
up here? Right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then they get a lot of frustration. They don't feel like they can talk to anybody. There's a lot of those conditions that you and I both know about, right? Where they're
Mhm.
not talking to people. They don't feel like they can. They don't think that they should. And it's so interesting when you have a guy, and this is not to toot my own horn, but you have a man like myself, you know, bring up that awkward, I call it bringing up the awkward of like, how many times have you said this? I was
Mhm.
just on another call today and I brought this up at Adele. I said, how many times have you said this? And the guy's like, every day. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they open up because it's somebody understands me and are willing to talk about it. Like I'm willing to say that I do that a lot and it's a problem.
Yeah.
Right. You're always how many like if my wife listens to this, she'll laugh at this, but um how many times have I tried to solve my wife's problem that she didn't want solved? She just wanted to vent,
But
and
okay, so with saying that, I say
yep,
women don't don't go in there venting without telling them what your expectation is. Cuz
100%.
I put it on the women saying, one, say, "Honey, I need 20 minutes. I just need to vent. I don't need to have any feedback, just vent." And then you go, "Okay, right? I can do that." And then
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah,
"All good? All good." She goes off, you go off. And then I
yeah,
also say men are single focused. If you want to be
yes.
heard, don't walk past the cave yammering thinking they're hearing you. They don't even know that you walked past. Book an appointment. And they're
Yeah,
like, "I'm not booking appointments, my husband." Okay, then get divorced. I don't know how to help you. Because you booked a 20-minute appointment once a
yeah,
week. What's going on with Johnny? What's going on with the house? Are the cars
yeah,
good? Like, and then Johnny doesn't get left at the school for abandonment issues later on in life. Like, 20 minutes.
yeah.
Everything's solved. Don't just look at the calendar. And the whole honey-do list on the fridge, you're never seeing it. It's just another clutter that you don't see. And I don't blame the men. I don't. Because it's like if you want something, state what you need, see if they can match that need. If they can't, see if you come to a solution.
Yeah, I think that, and I know she wouldn't mind me saying this. I think one of the most important pieces of advice that my wife and I ever received was exactly what you just said.
Hmm.
Is if we have something serious that we need to talk about, we like I'll never forget. This was actually right in the middle of the pandemic, and
Hmm.
we had gotten this advice just on communication. And I remember her coming up to the office and saying, "Hey, um, I want to have a conversation. What's a good hour that we can both sit down this week?" And as weird as that sounded when even she said it to me, it worked. We planned. I think it was a Thursday night, and we sat down and we talked through like a problem that we were having, and it was so very important. Um, it was important, but I think I agree that look, it's both, right? Like relationships are tough. There's no doubt
Hmm.
about it. And I think guys don't have I don't think guys do a very good job of verbalizing, at least in my experience. I don't think guys have a really good job of verbalizing how they want to communicate either. I don't
But
think
that's
that they're
well,
used to talking about it.
but that's how you guys are raised.
I agree. I agree. But I'm saying it's this dichotomy of like what most guys are like, what am I supposed to do? Like, well, how am I supposed to communicate? Because we weren't. Most of the guys were not ever taught how to communicate.
Hmm.
Really weren't. Or how to voice our own opinions, quite frankly, on
Hmm.
sensitive issues.
Hmm.
It's kind of like put your head down and figure it out.
Well, and so I used to drive motor coach, and I used to take a lot of the hockey teams around.
Mm,
And there's this one team that supposedly these coaches were amazing. These are like 12, 13-year-old team, right? Like very influential to who the adults are in their life. And at that age, the parents aren't allowed on the bus. They got to follow the bus. I'm listening to these coaches. I didn't even get out of the city for the away game, and I pulled over and I said, I don't know what parents are letting you guys talk like this, but this bus does not have this kind of talking. And they went, pardon?
Mm,
I go, this bus has clean language, supportive language, and you have children on this bus. So if you wanted me to keep driving, clean it up.
mm. How'd they
And
react?
they didn't like it, but they shut up. Um, and so here we are. We're coming home at night. Now it's like 1:30 in the morning, right? Some of the parents hadn't gotten there for whatever reason. Those coaches got off that bus and left.
Mm,
And I'm like, I'm not responsible for these kids. And so a few
yeah.
parents that were there, I said, I would rethink why you're paying these coaches the money you're paying them. Why? And I said, they're not very good for your kids.
Mm,
And I left it at that.
mm.
And then they stayed for the parents that were late, right? Because I'm like, I don't need to stay here. But do you mean,
Right.
like, do you imagine, like, if you had a son in hockey, you're a few minutes late and the coach is nowhere to be found? Four coaches. They all
Yeah,
ditched.
that wouldn't sit very well with me. That's not leadership.
And then you have the other coaches who called every kid up individually. How's school going? Do you need any help? Do you need a ride? Because they know the parents are divorcing. And they're like, no, coach, I'm good. Johnny's mom's picking me up, or right? And I'm like, now you guys are wonderful coaches. So I'm glad that I had more of those coaches,
Hmm.
right? And I even put in my report that I stopped the bus because their language was foul. Like, because I don't want to lose my job because if they're bad at it, like they're garbage.
Right.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
interesting, right? So I like you see it, and I like your statistic of that most of it is the small town kids that are going to the services.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like I knew a lot of them that I've worked with have been like, well, joining the army's got to be better than this home life because home life sucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't realize the small town.
Yeah. That was at least my experience. The majority of Marines that I served with, at least in the infantry, were small town kids, small town guys. I only knew a few guys from big cities. I'd say it's maybe less. Again, I have no idea if this is an accurate statistic, so don't quote me on it.
Yeah,
But from my experience, probably less than 20% were from any sort of large city. Everybody else was very rural, very small town.
but I can understand it because especially like the Navy or the Air Force or like it gives that small town kid maybe a sense of exploration, seeing a different world.
I I think, and I think it's mostly purpose. To be honest with you, it gives them a purpose.
Hmm. Okay. Like a purpose to serve, a purpose to be in a
Purpose in
bigger.
general. I mean, think of it from a small, like my perspectives, and I can only talk about my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Small town kid. Um, we grew up very impoverished. I bought my first pair of new shoes um, with my first paycheck. Not to say that I didn't have shoes, okay,
Yeah.
but I bought my first pair of new shoes
Yeah.
myself.
No, I caught the new.
Okay, okay, all right. Um, so mostly hand me downs. We're getting food from other places, stuff like that. My dad was a minister of a very small church. My mom stayed and took care of me and my sisters. Um, I was honestly very good in sports growing up. But you're in that small town, so you played every sport.
Mm-hmm.
I played football. I ran cross country. I tried basketball, swimming, baseball, track. I tried all of them, truthfully.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when you're looking at graduation and your only experience is this very small town. I graduated with 67 people. It's hard to think of a world outside of that, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
Of I had been working since I was 15, you know, And so for me, it was like, what's bigger than me? What's bigger than this town? Where can I find purpose out there? And one of the reasons that I joined is my dad and I were watching the news report in 2004, right after the Battle of Fallujah, which was a very big battle in the Iraq War.
Mm-hmm.
And there were just names scrolling, right, of these Marines and Army that had passed away in the battle, and the majority of them would show their age and their rank, and it was, John Smith, 19,
I know.
and it was boom, boom, boom. And it totally shatters, in my opinion, for people that are watching. The majority of the military is younger than 25 years old. So when you're
I know.
watching Chris Hemsworth, who's like 38, great actor, don't get me wrong. But when you're watching him in a military role, he, at his age, would
He's too
literally
old.
be way too old. He's way too old. He should be like a sergeant major, not a corporal, and so that's the perception that people I don't think really understand. A lot of specifically Marine infantry are small, scrawny, scrappy, tough kids from small town America.
Well,
And
and it's interesting you're saying that because the vets that I've been working with, they're still stuck in that 22-year-old body, even though they've
absolutely.
had a whole life. And I'm like, okay, why you stay still stuck there, right?
Yep.
Because they left the small town looking for something more, looking for that extended family because
Yeah.
home life sucked.
Yep.
And then they
Absolutely.
come home debilitated, just basically waiting to die.
Yes. And this is where would love for you to consider what I just talked about, though, of purpose.
Hmm.
When you throw everything through the lens of purpose. So you're 18, you join the military. I didn't really realize this conversation was go here, but I love it. You,
I go where I'm guided.
yeah. So think of it from this perspective again. You grow up in a small town.
Hmm.
You're looking for purpose. You find purpose, a deep purpose, a purpose you're willing to die for.
Hmm.
You find a family that you're willing to die for, okay, from all over the country. And then you get out and you don't have your family anymore or your purpose anymore. And now you're
And you're
expected,
not that rich either because
and
they
you're
don't pay
not
you
rich
that
at
well.
all. Okay. Yeah. You don't have a trust fund. You don't even have probably basically any money saved. And it's, do I go to work? Do I go to college? And don't get me wrong, the GI Bill did me very well. I paid $0 for college. Be internally grateful for that. Absolutely. I got a great education. Um, I I don't think I'm normal, at least from my unit. I know a lot of guys didn't take advantage of that.
Hmm.
Um, but that's because, and when I talk to these guys, and I've interviewed thousands at this point in time of
Wow.
veterans, yeah, absolutely, throughout the last 15 years, absolutely. Um, when this is going to be maybe controversial to anybody listening that knows or struggles with PTSD, the majority of guys that I know that really struggle hard with PTSD, um, it's this is where it's going to get weird. When you really dive deep, it's not what they did or what they saw a lot of times. Now, sometimes it definitely is. Don't get me wrong. A lot of times, it's because they miss their friends, because they miss their brotherhood, and because they don't have purpose anymore. And when you really dive deep, that's what it becomes. They're
Interesting.
lost.
And I'll take it
They're
one step
lost.
further. They
Yep.
had the
And
trauma before they
mhm.
even signed up.
Yep.
So it
Exactly.
exasperated it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so no, I'm not going to sit here and say that's everybody. I've got my own demons. So do my friends. We had a really rough first deployment, to be honest with you. Um, but even then, what I notice is that, because it's so interesting when a bunch of vets get together, or even if you have a really close guy friend group specifically, and I'm talking mostly about men right now,
Hmm.
um, you start to see those symptoms start to disappear. It's really, really fascinating to me. Get a vet, get him into a good friend group of guys in the civilian world, and weird how a lot of those PTSD symptoms start to subside. They start to find purpose. They start to find community. They start to find brotherhood again. And that's something that they crave.
I am so glad you shared that because I've been working with some vets. I've been invited to different calls, and the one call shook me to the core. Like I'll admit, right? And I'm like, "Oi!" Like so, I phone my friend. I go, "Why'd you invite me? Like what the hell?" And right? And it took me a couple weeks to kind of go, but obviously, you guys are looking for that safe space community,
Yeah.
right? And
Great way to put it.
that's what I'm trying to build within my community for the men is that safe space. Like, because I know how important it is because I grew up with males. I
Yeah.
grew up with friends that were all guys. And it's just like, it's hard for you guys to open up
Yeah.
because you're
It's also
told
hard for us to
not
be
to.
ourselves.
You're told
Yeah.
not to, right?
Hmm. You don't
Stop
have
being
time
a
for it.
wuss, right?
Yeah.
Like, and yet I feel it is so important now more than ever that you do open up, that you do have partners and people around you that don't think you're weak when you just like gotta let the tears flow, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But
And
then it's
yeah.
also hard to see that vet come home, went in angry, right?
Hmm.
Because of whatever home life, and basically has been so messed up from what he's seen, the chemicals that have been put in him,
Hmm.
and he's just ticking time bomb until he dies.
Yeah. And then you use the word safe space. And I would say confidently that the majority of veterans have a very visceral reaction to that word, safe space. Um,
Oh, why?
but because of I think how how culturally it's been perceived of this is this place where you can go and nobody's gonna attack you or nobody's gonna say anything that's offensive to you and things like that. And in my opinion, I think it's an accurate word, but for a different reason than what culturally people think of it.
Mm-hmm.
Veterans want to be able to be themselves. Most veterans have a very dark sense of humor that most people don't understand. And so that's what I mean by that is like if
Yeah.
you go into a traditional, and I'll say this because I went to a very artsy college, uh, love Nazareth University, or sorry, Nazareth College, great school.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely not, I would say, your typical school that you'd think a vet would go to. Okay. And they did have what you traditionally think of like a safe space, right? But it wasn't a place, and I will tell you this right now, very, very openly. I would say right now, I was not, if I would have walked in there, I would have not felt very welcome in that space. So it was safe to some people, but it was not safe to people like me. And
In what way? Now this is fascinating.
oh, this is the truth. I'll go on a dying hill with that. If I walked into a traditional safe space right now and talked like I was just a traditional vet, like the room was filled with vets, everybody in that room would say that I'm offensive
Why?
because dark humor is usually
Oh,
generally offensive. The general things that vets talk about and joke about is not culturally acceptable. It's
okay.
just not. Like and the stuff that people hear that they think vets talk about, when you get into a room of just vets, they're talking about different stuff.
Yeah. No,
And it's
I
funny
get
and
that.
it's yeah, I know you
Right?
obviously
But
sound
I'm
educated
saying
on that.
whether vet, whether like someone that's sober, like whether a CEO that's just like walked away because he can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
I want all men, whether it's my group or another group, to find that group where they
Oh,
feel
I agree.
home,
I
they
agree.
can share, and they can start pulling back the layers to be their true, authentic self.
100%. And
Yeah,
we're talking the same language here.
yeah.
My point is this: if I would have walked into that safe space with the general population of a 19-year-old young man that's never seen war, 18-year-old young girl from upstate New York, and pick out another random person, that space right there does not feel safe to a 24-year-old former Marine Corps infantry squad leader. I do not, there's
Interesting.
no way, yeah, there's no way you're going to feel yourself in that room. There's no way you're going to feel safe in that room. Like safe, like air quotes safe. Like I'm going to feel very physically safe in that room, call it what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to feel like I'm going to be able to be
Emotionally safe.
myself.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. In that room, because I'm going to feel like everything that if I say one thing out of line, someone's going to chastise me for it. I say one thing off color, one dark humor joke, someone's going to be like, why would you ever say that? That's offensive. You know how
Well, I know, but so then you this is interesting. So then you stay the chameleon. You're not the track star
yeah,
anymore because you've grown up. You've seen
yeah.
things that no
Chameleon's a
natural
perfect word for
person
it.
should
Yeah.
see. You
Mm-hmm.
can't explain what you've seen because we would never
Mm-hmm.
understand it. You only can talk to your
Yeah.
unit about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you're supposed to be a high performing person in society and just forget about the 4 years that you saw the worst thing you could ever see in life and sweep
Yep.
it under the rug and say, I'm normal and I'm fine. And I'm like, but you're not.
But you're not. Yes, thank you. Yep. We're talking the same language.
Yeah.
You just summed up the condition of, and again, I know men's health is something, not just vet health, men's health specifically is
Yeah.
something I'm very passionate about. I think a lot of men struggle with exactly the same issues that we just talked about.
Yeah.
And you just summed it up pretty like perfectly. Where do you feel? So when you say, that's why I went down that road of safe space, because when you say safe space, I feel like I know what you're talking about. But in the traditional form of a safe space, guys like me don't feel safe there, quote unquote. We don't, because we can't be our authentic selves. Like you just said, where are you supposed to be authentic? I can't be authentic in that safe space we just talked about, what we just defined. Anything that comes out of my mouth is going to be perceived as potentially offensive to somebody. That's not very safe. That doesn't feel very safe to me.
Where it's interesting because our first conversation, um, like you're flying down the road. It's kind of chaotic, right? And I'm like, oh, I get him. It's cool. We hadn't
Our
even
first
really
phone
said
conversation.
anything. Yeah, right? It was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you come to the meeting? Ah, crap. Whatever, right? And so and then it's like, so I got it right away.
yeah.
You're in your doing, and that's cool. But now I'm seeing a whole different other side of you that is making me be more aware of the words I'm choosing, especially if I'm attracting the veteran community. I never thought I was going to attract the veteran community. So it's
Interesting.
really interesting how they're showing up. And then I have to keep on checking myself at the door saying, okay, are you ready for this? Like,
Yeah.
can I hold that container for the vets for them to be their authentic self without me
Mm.
freaking out?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. Yeah.
So
It's an
it's,
interesting thought process and topic, really.
yeah, but I love it. I learned
Well, me
every
too. And I think
conversation.
what's interesting too is I don't you don't really talk about these like um and again well no I'll just say men. I'll get away from the word vet. I'll say men. Men
Men.
don't generally talk about the conversation that even we're having right now.
I know, but I'm telling you, I don't care where I've been in my life. It could be the bar, it could be on a plane. I get their life story. I get them
Yeah, no,
crying.
I get it.
I'm
Yeah,
like, what? And then my
yeah.
friends will look over going, what? I go, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, you know what? This is you brought actually you brought up before right we got on this call, you brought up something that I talked to you about over the phone was that the blueprint thing, right?
Right.
Like finding out, and this is actually where it came from, quite frankly, was self-discovery on myself of what was I missing in life after I
Mm-hmm.
got out. And that's why the four pillars are what the four pillars are. The four pillars are purpose, vision, ecosystem, and motivation or momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Those four things I believe. Now I'm sure that there's a lot of people would disagree or say there's more, there's less. I don't really care. It's what
This is
I
yours.
think it is. This is mine, right? Exactly.
Make
It's
your
like,
own.
yeah, go ahead and build your own. I don't care. but that's what I think is like what really makes you your authentic self. You need purpose. You need to know who you are. You need to know where you're going. That's vision. You
Mm-hmm.
need to be surrounded by the right environment. That's your ecosystem. And you need to know what gets you up in the morning and get you moving and
Mm-hmm.
and that you care about. And that's your momentum or your motivation.
Mm-hmm.
I think those all four of those things are incredibly important. And when I talk to men, they're always missing one piece of that puzzle at least.
Mm-hmm.
They either don't know who they are, they don't know where they're going, they're surrounded by the wrong people, or they do not, or they've lost what motivates them. And once you miss one of those things, it's a start. It starts to become a spiral. It really
Well,
does.
and I would add, not them changing yours,
No, please. This is
but
great. I love these
I
conversations.
would add, what's the pin in the middle, keeping those four pillars circulating? Because
Mm-hmm.
it always comes back. Like that's why my
What do you think it is? This is great.
well, hang on. So that's why I believe this last iteration of my 8 week program is the boy behind the man. Because I'll
Hmm.
tell you, whether you're 20, 40, 80, there's a little boy in all of it, in all of you, and a little girl in me that is saying, but I wanted to be Superman,
Hmm.
right?
Interesting.
You're telling
Yeah.
me I can't fly? Why can't I fly? You say I have to put my head down and not talk? The Superman talked, right? And
Interesting.
and the archetypes attached to that little boy will show up in, you want to take your business from 500 to a million? Won't happen. That little boy saying, you can't fly. You want to have that relationship, that undying love with your partner? You're not worthy of that. I was told you can't fly. There's so many archetypes that that little boy has been gnawing at you. You're not worthy to have a multi-million dollar company.
I think the word that I gravitated to with what you just said is worthy. I think that's a really accurate word.
Well,
That are probably yeah.
the world came in with that. The collective came in with unworthiness.
Hmm.
So as a species, as a human species in this planet right now, that was across the every country, every part of the world. We're not worthy to be here. Yet, I know we are all chosen to be here to make it through the most pivotal time in humanity is right now.
Hmm.
We have been through the battles and the wars and everything of other times to be chosen at this time. Because
Interesting way to put it.
there's many souls that were not chosen. They were not allowed to come. Yet the galactics, the other dimensions are all helping us so we make it.
Hmm.
So yes, are we going to have a lot of people leaving this earth fast? Yeah, we're seeing that a lot right now. Um, are a lot of things going to be unexplained? Sure, but it's also we have too many people on the earth right now,
Hmm. Interesting.
right? So those who are not coming forward in their leadership, the last portal that just opened, if you haven't stepped up into your leadership, you you might not be guaranteed tomorrow. And I've had people in my life who say, "Yeah, I'm here till 27. Beyond, I don't think so." I'm like, "All right." I don't get shocked at things like that anymore because they know their journey. They know their blueprint of why they came in, and who might argue,
Hmm. Interesting.
right? Because I know in my own life, I've had 5 exits that I did not take. And so I've gone back to God and said, "Really? 5 exits? You still want me here? Why?" And now I know I'm here for this pivotal time. I'm here to awaken the men to their authentic self.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because I fought this for a while. Because my other company, I used to do home clearings, like the clear the energy in the home and the business and figure out why you and your spouse aren't getting together, like whatever. And then I was told I had to get more personal. I'm like, okay. And here we
Hmm.
are,
Here you are.
working with a man. But I love it. I love it because when men are ready and willing to open their hearts and get out of their heads and do the work, the transformation is so beautiful. So beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But they have to have the right support system in their family. And
Yeah, I also
people
agree with
are
that.
breaking up a lot right now, right? And it's like,
Yeah, I mean, in the States, it's 50%.
well, no, but it's been 50% for a long time. But I'm saying, like, it's probably higher, and they're just not recording it.
Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't know. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's beautiful when men give themselves the permission to feel, to know that they're worthy, to know they're not broken, that they don't have to carry the load of everything on them, that they're able to tap into the feminine rising within them, which is the next 18 to 20 years, depending on your calculation, right? And every time there's a big crisis in the world, we go into the feminine rising because it's the feminine that brings us back to community, back to sharing, back to love. It's the feminine, not women, the feminine, the nurturing that keeps our world going.
Interesting.
Hmm.
I don't know if I 100% agree with that, I'll be honest, but I like your perspective on it.
Well, but just think about it. We we sent the men to war. The women kept the family, the community going, right? We
Yes,
like
100%
even
accurate. Yeah.
even the caveman days. The men went to hunter gather. The women kept the fires burning at home,
Yeah, that
right?
I 100% agree with. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just now we're in the modern day. It looks different, but we're saying instead of sending you off to war, cave to hunt, we're asking you to come home in your femininity and let's build this new community together.
Interesting. I understand where you're going with this before. I thought what you were saying was that almost that the feminine nature is what's needed in things like war.
Mm-mm,
That's how I took that, unfortunately.
mm-mm.
Yeah. No, and that's my misperception, so I apologize.
And like going into 2026, it's all about the oneness, the unity, the community, the compassion, the sharing, right? So the veils are coming down, and we have to get in touch with our hearts to be able to do this, men and women, because most
Agree.
women are running in their masculine,
Hmm.
trying to keep up with what they were told they had to keep up with.
I
And it's
agree with
like,
that. Yeah, for sure.
no, feminine.
Yeah.
And the latest statistic, which I was very happy to hear, is 1 in 4 men are staying home to raise kids.
Interesting.
And I'm like, that's beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right? Like some women just aren't that nurturing. They can have
Yeah,
the
for sure. Yeah.
baby, but that doesn't mean they should stay home with them,
Right. Right.
right? So, yeah, and so like with your blueprint of the pillars, it's interesting how like some are missing, some aren't as high, some are, like how would you suggest that you keep that balance?
Um, I think that the only way to is living in your reality. Um, and what I mean by that is checking in consistently with what condition each one of those pillars is in right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's that typical wheel of life, right? Emotional, spiritual, physical, right?
mental.
And it's kind of this. It's a similar concept in my mind of checking in with yourself of like, am I still solidified in my purpose? Do I still, as my vision still connected with my actions? You know, do I need to change my ecosystem? Do I need to change the people I'm surrounding yourself with? I think that's one of the things that changes probably the most and you need to be aware of
Mm-hmm.
is that what ecosystem do I need at this season of my life? You know, you often find people hanging around with the same types of individuals or systems or environments that served them at one point in time that don't serve them anymore. And I think friend groups is a good one for that. Um, and again, speaking from my own personal example, there are friend groups today that I don't spend time with anymore, not because I don't love them. I do. I do. They just don't serve what type of man I've become
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And so it's a really hard conversation. I'm thinking of one friend individual. I mean, I grew up with him. We went to war together, literally went to war together. Been friends since we were 3 years old. And over the last, I'd say 5 years, maybe even 10 years, we've really drifted apart. And I don't think I've talked to him an entire year now, you know, where we used to be thick as thieves. At the end of the day, I used to feel a lot of guilt around that. And I don't anymore because when
Well,
I did it, when I really started to take a hard look at it, I still love him. I always will.
mm-hmm.
He and I just went very different paths in life,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's part of that environment that doesn't really serve where what my path was going.
I
And
know, but
for
yeah,
many years, it was this pull of like, no, you need to stay here. You need to stay here. It's like, nah, I don't though, and he didn't either.
but it's also knowing that if he called, you'd answer.
Absolutely, he knows that, and I know that about him too,
Yeah,
100%. And that's happened many times over the last 5 years for sure.
yeah.
You know,
And
um,
like I have a lot of those friends that it's just like once a year you phone, checking in. How's it going? Right?
yeah,
Talk
yeah,
next time. Right?
yeah,
And it's like no time has passed yet. Tons of time has passed, and so that's
yeah,
the illusion of time, right? But it's
yeah.
also um, understanding as we grow and expand, you're not leaving them behind. They're welcome on the journey anytime, but you're just not pulling them along.
Yes, and I'm
Because
glad you added that last part.
well,
Yeah.
no, because I used to be like, but this is so good for you, and John, like if you could just join this group, it'd be so, and I'm pulling you, you're resisting.
Yes.
You get to that group and you spite me,
Yes.
and
Yep.
I'm like, well, that didn't work. And so, so in one of my meditations, I definitely got the straight answer of until the hand is grabbed, you say nothing. And I'm like, nothing? Nothing.
Hmm.
So, has my men's group been slow and growing? Yeah, for my liking, sure. But have I been making touch points with hundreds of people? Absolutely.
Mm.
Because I can't reach out. They have to say I'm ready,
Oh, interesting. I get it now. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I like that.
And so
Yeah, absolutely.
that's why when I decide, okay, so how can I have a touch point that they can show up without me? And so that's when the 30-minute coffee chats came about because one, they wouldn't give me an hour. And I'm like, no, no. I'm like, okay. Right. And I
Hmm.
personally can't get things done in 15 minutes. So if you only can stay for 15 minutes, come for 15 minutes, but I'll be there for an hour or for 30
Gotcha.
minutes. Right. And so
Yeah.
it was a compromise on both sides. I'm like, well, I'm still a girl with too many words. And if you want to stay for longer than 15, great. If you don't, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was wondering why, like at the beginning, I was making all these master classes and it's getting tons of people, and I'm like, where'd they go?
Mm.
We're zoomed out,
I think most people are. Yeah. Yeah. I
right?
think.
And so I
Yeah.
do the quick 30 minutes in the morning. Let's go. And it's
I mean,
not
I'll be.
every week either, right?
Yeah. I mean, my 90% of my business is still virtual, but I have clients all over the country, so that just makes sense.
Well, I have clients all over the world. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, like for me to go out of the house is like it's a rare day. right? For socializing, because it's like, why? Like I'm on social everywhere all day long.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, this has been fascinating.
Yeah, great conversation.
I'm
I
like,
agree.
my head's spinning with all the different like nuances that I'm like, oh, I didn't think that. Oh, okay. Like I got to really think about this conversation. Um, because
Yeah,
I'm
you've
like,
you've said a couple things that I really connected with as well, and it's got me really thinking too. Like, oh, interesting.
well, and that's part of the coffee chats too, is because I'm full disclosure. I'm using this as market research because you guys are messing me up.
Why
Where
wouldn't you? Yeah, absolutely.
like what was being said to me at the beginning of 2025 is not what's being said now.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I understand that because we are going into a new 9 year cycle, like it's totally different energy, and you guys are tired of not being seen, not being heard, not being able to share emotions, stuffing everything down. And I'm like, I don't want you to feel like that anymore.
Hmm.
Like
I appreciate that.
I had a guy actually tell me he won't go in the coffee shop. I said, why? Because he's tired of seeing all the women talking and he walks in alone. I said, grab a coffee
Interesting.
and go join them. He says, I couldn't do that.
Interesting.
So, right? Like, think about all the drive throughs, men, women, whatever, like, especially going to soccer. How many drive through meals are being had on the way to soccer? It's like you couldn't
Probably a
make a
lot.
sandwich, you know,
Huh?
like it's like you couldn't make a sandwich, had some carrots cut up, like I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But no judgment, whatever. I
Yeah.
just grew up in a different time. Um, so as we wrap up, who is your ideal client that you're looking for? We'll start with that question.
Yeah. Yeah. My ideal client that I look for is somebody that's looking to grow. And I think that's the easiest way to put it. I'm a growth focused person.
Hmm.
Um, and my business is absolutely growth oriented. So the first sentence on my website is coaching is for the ready, and I truly mean that. Um, so when you're ready to grow, that's who I work with. I work across most industries. 50% of my clients, just by based on the last 15 years in finance, are financial advisors for sure,
Okay.
growing teams. But I work with a lot of sales professionals, a lot of leaders, in that space of looking to take their life or their business to, and it's kind of cliche, but to the next level, looking for that growth.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And what would be a piece of advice or a tip that you want to leave the audience with?
It's actually probably the um, one of the words in your graphic behind your screen. It's be authentic. Yeah, seriously. It seems so basic and it's so underutilized. Be authentic. Be your authentic self, just with reckless abandon, and see where it gets you.
Well, and I think it's a word that is thrown out there very casually, like the word safe,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. Good point.
And
Yeah,
when
yeah, yeah.
and when you really take it back and you examine it, it all starts with you. Look yourself in the mirror and say, are you being
Mhm.
authentic with yourself? Because if you're not doing
Yep.
it with yourself, you can't be it with anyone else.
No. And
And
you,
there's
it's
too
always,
many
and every time people
chameleons.
do that, it's like, it's like, every time, and to your audience, if you're listening, try it.
Hmm.
Like, get that weight off of your chest a little bit and just be authentic and
Hmm.
see what comes from that. Because at least you can walk away saying, at least if it doesn't plan out the way that you wanted it to, which it probably won't a lot of times,
Hmm.
at least you can walk away from that situation knowing that you did you.
Hmm. Well, and I mean, I like even how this whole podcast started. I was like, I can't do a podcast. And my guys are like, why not? I'm like, well, how? You're on Zoom, hit record. And I'm like, oh, right? Like, and
Right.
then I'm like,
Yeah.
well, what am I naming it? well, you like authenticity and you like conversations. I'm like, all right. And here we are, season
There
three.
you are.
Who knew?
Awesome. Season 3. Amazing.
I want to thank you and for being a guest on the show. I'll have all of John's information in the show notes. And if you are looking for a men's group or want to check it out, I'll have the coffee chat in the show notes as well. And both of us would be happy to help you in any way we can. So,
Absolutely. And Adele, thank you so much for the
mm,
time. Great conversation. So thank you.
thank you. Wow, what a wonderful conversation with John. And both of us had no idea it was going that way. Um, but I like the insights he's shared, and it's definitely given me things to think about, especially with working with veterans. And all people are not in the same space. We all have our upbringing, our conditionings, our whatever um, beliefs that we hold on to that we need to let go of. And this conversation is a prime example. Is what conditioning is keeping you from fulfilling your life and living your true, authentic self. So, once again, we'll have all the show notes with how to get a hold of us. If you're interested in the coffee chats, one is coming up this, um, they'll be every other Tuesday at 8 a.m. going forward for 2026. So, keep out an eye out in LinkedIn or Facebook for the event pages. And if you want to know more about the 8-week program for men, The Boy Behind the Man, give me a call. We'll have a chat. Thanks again for listening. Please share, like, comment. And if you have a guest that you want to see on the show, send me a note. Would love to hear it. Thanks for listening again and having all the support.